Shenanigans.
You mean shenanigans?
Shenanigans. Evil shenanigans.
Shenanigans, right?
Shenanigans.
This is all part of it. And so they have cures for stuff, supposedly, that we haven't been able to have because of money.
Now?
Well, yeah. But this is all part of that whole awareness thing.
Well, I know NASA's 20 years ahead of anything we have technology.
Oh,
Like the most advanced you can think of right now, NASA's already 20 years ahead of that.
They had the internet in the 60s.
That's what I'm saying. So, and I think the internet wasn't readily available until the 90s. You know what I mean? It was just a thought in the 60s. So,
Yeah, they had the internet. They had all their ways of communicating. It's just been the last few years that it's become mainstream.
so you got to think, if there's a way to cure cancer, we know it.
Oh, more likely.
Why would we? So there's
no
probably
money in the
several
cure.
ways to cure several cancers. Depending on which one you have, depends on what the likelihood of it working. You can't go advertising, yeah, we can cure cancer, because then everyone with cancer that doesn't get cured is going to get sued. They can cure me, but they didn't. It's their fault. So if they don't have a cure for it and they still can, that's okay. So you have to be really careful about how you word it.
Right.
But I'm telling you that they have tons of cures for all sorts of stuff. And it seems like the richer you are, the more chances they have a cure for you.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well,
Magic Johnson's still alive.
come on,
He
man.
died.
Didn't you
That's
guys
all I'm
remember
saying.
Magic Johnson got AIDS?
Oh, yeah.
In the 80s?
Don't you remember how horrifying that? Everyone was scared. We all did the same
AIDS
thing.
was going to be the newest epidemic in the world.
That
back
sold
then.
more condoms, okay, than trailer park ladies.
Well, it's because condoms had to really probably put in work after the 70s and 80s. They were like, man, nobody's buying our shit no more. Free love's really fucking killing us. Hey, get him mates. Get him mates. I'll take right care of this, I promise.
I mean, you never know. I mean, it's who's sitting in what chair making what decision, you know? I mean,
So is there money in the cure, or is there money in the
treatment.
treatment? That's right.
Treatment and prevention.
And who has grown the most over the last 20, 30 years?
Pharmaceutical.
There you go. Come on, man.
It's just
Come
set
on.
up. It's
We're not geniuses.
It's getting to the point now you don't even have to be a conspiracy theorist to learn this shit and be like, fuck, this sucks.
And I have a problem with that. Because when I was off the deep end, not like totally like I was staking out presidents or anything, but when I was off the deep end, enjoying learning about all this crazy stuff that shouldn't be true, started to find out it was true, I started getting mad because I felt weird when people said it was a conspiracy theory. Not that I know everything or I think everything is true, but there's a bunch of stuff that has straight out come out in the paper, like the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times, or like, oh, hey, guess what? They were right about HARP. You know?
Yeah.
FYI for you guys, CIA got convicted of killing Martin Luther King, by the way, in case you guys never knew that. That's a real thing. It was an actual trial. They lost, and they said they were actually guilty of this. You know what I mean? Like, this is all real stuff that has come out.
They
in
won't
the news.
mainstream it.
But like I said, that's never been mainstream.
So they mainstream it this way. They put it on a popular paper on page 7, and they start out the article framing it a whole way to where you're not even trying to read it.
Yeah, so if you imagine things like that can just go underneath the radar, there's so much. And like, I don't know, I told Shannon about it too whenever we're talking about it. Like, once you dig so deep into all these things, like, I stop. I'm like, you know what? Ignorance is bliss. I'll be happy not knowing anything. I'm fine with that too. I will live in
it's a
ignorant
rabbit
life.
hole for sure, and you can't obsess. And I had a neighbor of mine who was listening to Alex Jones every day, and
I love Alex
deep
Jones.
web this, and yeah, a lot of it's like scary.
Well, it was
You know.
crazy. It was all crazy. That's why I liked him, because it was fun to watch and listen to until he started reporting on the actual news. To this day, shit that he talked about's coming out regularly on the news. And I'm going, how did I know about this 3 years ago? What?
Yeah.
I mean, I tell my
Pizzagate.
all sorts of it. There was so much
Just
stuff.
HARP alone. When that started coming to light, then it was like, oh well, China's been kind of doing this, controlling the weather,
Of course.
and so and so's doing this, and well, yeah, I mean we, and then
He gets wacky. He talks about MK Ultra, and nobody, as soon as you say mind control, people shut off. You're crazy. But then that show I'm watching, Operation Blue Book, is based on the like Ancient Aliens, right? You go back, watch Ancient Aliens from the beginning. They talk about J. Allen Hygen. I can't remember his name. Anyways, he was the doctor that would go to these different things with the Air Force and help debunk all this stuff. Well, in the meantime, Hynek, Dr. J. Allen Hynek, and he would debunk all this stuff. I also found out that he was the presence behind the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Which is a creepy one.
You know why? Because it's too close.
This is too close.
He was on the set during the filming giving pointers on how it worked. So during all this time, he'd seen all this shit. So that's when they made this movie. They came to him and said, look, you're the UFO guy that you know all the stuff. And he had them make the movie as close to as he experienced it. And so that's what's crazy. Like, I saw the most recent episode. I was like, oh my God, that's where it came from. I didn't
You guys
know.
ever watched the Men Who Stare at Goats?
Yep, love it.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Great
True
movie,
story.
right? And that's a 100% true
Yep.
story of, you know.
God, it's true
And
as can
again,
be.
you got to imagine in the 70s or 80s, 90s even, they're like, no, the government was trying to train people to be, you know, brain or mind controls.
To be fair,
able to walk
it
through
is a
walls.
Tarantino world, right? Isn't that a Tarantino movie? Who made that one?
No way.
Well, it's a Tarantino style world where it's a not exactly the way things went, right?
What
So
is
it's
Tarantino?
a dramatization, right?
It has the disclosure that says more of this is probably true than you want
Yes.
to believe.
So the stuff that happened, like the events were true, but they churched it up a little bit. They made the dude
course.
more of a hippie, I think, than he really was. But these dudes did
See,
look
the
into all
hippie
of it.
part wasn't what made me doubt it so much. It was the uptight ones that were believing it that I was a little more skeptical about. Like, that was a pretty big hippie time, man. Everybody had the peace, love world.
Well, but the point was when he went to those different things to understand the universe, he did become a well-rounded.
Like, I don't believe
Like-
whenever he was getting court-martialed, they said he spent government money on drugs and hookers. He's like, I never spent money on hookers. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, that probably never happened, but...
Well, then, but the point I'm making is that the stuff that they did was pretty consistent for the time. So these things that he did do going up into the point where he went and it was part of this program.
Grant Heslov.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was pretty good.
So I see what you're saying with Tarantino's type, but... Like,
Well, it just seemed they dramatized it to make it fun.
like, I'm not saying they
but
put
it was-
acid in everybody's eggs at the end of the movie. Like, they really did. You know what I mean? Like, maybe that's where the dramatization stuff comes in.
Well, Operation
But-
Blue Book had a whole thing about that where they
Well, no,
chemical people.
they dosed everybody at the place just to be
Yep.
dicks. You know what I mean? Like, that probably never... But no, they were actually...
But no, they were fed
stories of them
stuff.
staring at goat number 1.
Yes.
Goat number 5 would drop dead. There's stories of people being able to communicate across the country and stuff like that just by thinking
Remote
of certain
viewing.
things. Remote viewing.
Yeah, that's a
Like,
true thing today.
These
from what
are
I hear.
all real things. You know, like, you remember the movie? They sat down, they looked at it, and they're like, "What's in A5?" And the guy would be like, you know, "Man in the chair," and it's fucking Lincoln in the chair. You know,
Well,
what I mean?
that's
like,
the Operation Blue Book has a bunch of that
Yeah.
stuff too, where they talk to these people that are remote viewers. So this is back in the 40s, 50s.
imagine how corny that was, or crazy that was to hear. Nobody could believe that. Now we just watched George Clooney portray that in a movie. And
Why
we're
do you
like,
think? Why do you think that in these shows the Air Force wants them to squash everything? The whole point was for these guys to go in, investigate, debunk it, and get out. Even if they had to lie, that's what they did. But behind the scenes, they're talking to remote viewers. All right, what's going to happen? When's it going to happen? It's the same thing that happens today. These guys knew the truth, but they lied. Right? It's just like when anything else that comes out from the government or from the news, you have to look at their motive.
Nobody's even surprised anymore. The government's like, "So we lied about that 40 years." You're like, "Yeah, we were fine.
Yeah, no,
we
we
know.
know.
We know." It's
Yeah,
just like,
Roswell was a weather balloon. Whether we know it wasn't weather, it may not have been anything. But even Blue Book talks about how most of the stuff that people were seeing was just stuff we made because it's a top secret base, so they're testing, spaceship equipment. But the dudes, they got dosed with an agent that made them super aggressive, and it made them like forget stuff, and they dosed a whole fuck ton of people, like platoon after platoon after platoon, and then they had these dudes go investigate it, knowing full well that they did it,
hey, I mean, ultimately,
trying to get away with it.
if the Nazis invented meth, trying to give a soldier
Yep,
to stay up
super
for
soldier.
a few days, you know what I mean? That's
Super soldier.
exactly how meth was invented. Maybe that's how Xanax was invented here in America, because they're like, we're gonna do a whole bunch of shit with some soldiers.
They
We
don't
want
wanna
them to
remember.
remember. if you can fix a washer and dryer, spend a whole night talking, what if they're like, they're soldiers? They're gonna
They've been
they're gonna
trained.
autopilot and do it anyway.
You got it.
We'll just
Dude,
the next thing
right?
you know, they're all like,
But then you disguise it as, oh, well, it also makes you feel this, that, the other thing, where to microdose it down and
Well, but-
give it to people as...
MK Ultra, the mind control, once again, when we come back to
Big
that,
pharma, so
and
much
people
money.
give you that look like conspiracy, and then we're talking about fucking Xannies do that to you. Wait a second, where do you think that shit came from?
quite literally that.
Probably
I'd be
because
convinced to do
yeah,
pretty much
it was-
anything in the world and probably wouldn't say no.
I
and
can't
I'd remember
believe
it.
everything I did, and I don't remember nothing. And
And now imagine if you did that out with
I
some other
had
people you
6
didn't
or
know.
7 fucking parts, and I put this wash machine back together. I fixed the dryer. I put my tools away.
Yeah.
Don't
Now
remember
imagine
anything.
you're hanging out with somebody. It's like, hey, we're gonna go storm Area 51. You're high on Xanax. You're like, yeah, we're gonna storm Area 51.
You know how to run an M4? Oh, I have one at home. Yeah, nothing. Let's go.
Well, the part
That could be how it's made. Is all I'm saying.
the part that's MK Ultra would be that you don't know that you know how to run an M4 until it's handed to you, and then you've been trained on it. You don't remember you've been trained, but you've retained all this information. So somehow, you remember the movie The Long Kiss Goodnight?
Oh, of course.
All right, you can't kill me, motherfuckers! And he comes jumping at Samuel L. Jackson, jumping in his car. He's a what is he? A private eye.
Yeah.
And Gina Davis had had amnesia, and she started into this family. Well, come to find out, she was like this fucking awesome spy. Yeah, amazing. And
She
so
gets triggered.
she has no idea, and then she gets triggered and figures out who she is, and goes back into that character. Well, she's been married with a 4-year-old now for like her 5-year-old or some shit, and so she's just like this super fucking badass. Well, it's the same type of thing. Once it's triggered, all of a sudden, it's not that you are controlled, but you know shit that you didn't know you knew.
Right.
So that was the whole thing, is creating a secret soldier. Secret soldiers are more deadly because we can activate you at any time.
Yeah, you can't be taught how to rebuild the washer and dryer while under the influence, but if you know it and they can use it whenever your residual just body motions going through
Training. Just be trained.
Yeah,
Once you're trained,
that makes sense because
you don't think for yourself anymore. You think primitive.
Well, who is controlling? That's the question.
Well, it doesn't necessarily
know.
mean you're being controlled, but it does mean that you're not in control.
I would say absolutely because, I mean, I don't remember anything. My conscious mind doesn't remember anything. My wife tells me the whole story in detail.
And then here's a weird part to think about too. Somewhere in your subconscious, you know all that stuff that
Yep.
happened. You just can't.
Can't
There's
access
something
it.
blocking it. There's
Yeah,
just something
yeah,
completely
it's-
blocking it. And if they can invent a drug that can completely block that, what else? Can
Supposedly,
they, you know?
I don't know that I can believe in it until I'm done. And you say it can be done. Hypnotism. I say
we're talking about
bullshit.
Yeah,
It's
I don't know
like
about
that fake
that
fighting
one.
cheese
This
shit.
is one of those things. If we had the money, I would drive us through. Or I would fly us to Vegas right now to watch you guys get put under the
That's
hypnotist.
yeah, that's
because,
one thing
like,
I'd have to experience.
It was a very, very close personal friend of mine who I trust with everything in my life that got hypnotized. That's.
I would have to physically
that
hold
would
my
take a
recording
bullet.
device,
Yeah.
my camera, and I would have to physically see that.
I
happen.
watched him get hypnotized and not know a single damn thing that happened, and I trust the fact
Nope.
that there's.
It seems like it happens too fast.
Can't do it. Sorry. I
think
can't. There's no
But
way.
like I said,
can
it could go off on that frequency thing we were talking about. Not everybody could do it. Not everybody could be hypnotized.
There's so
either.
many people doing it now. Somebody had to have come out with the truth.
Well, you got to think
know
about
what
it
I
this
mean?
way. You know, eventually there'd be a tell-all.
Magicians.
Someone had to leak the secret.
Well, you got to think.
Still a lot of secrets.
You got to think though. Let's say whenever you go to those hypnotist shows and everything like that, they pick 30 people right off the back, right? 30 people raise their hand. They bring them all up on stage. Ultimately, right off the back, they knock down 15 of them. Now you're down to 15. All right, these 15 people, they ask a couple questions here and there, and then boom, they go into 5 people. These are the 5 people they're going to hypnotize. They're picking through who's actually going to be susceptible to it and who's not.
And
Yeah,
they're
that's probably
also
a factor too.
planting memories.
And they're also
So
getting that.
I saw a mentalist one time talk about this. He's like, I can make anybody do anything I want by just talking to them.
It's like Inception.
And he's all, think of a number, right? Think of a number. This does these hand movements, does this. So you're thinking of the number 0. You're thinking of this. You're thinking of that, and you're going, fuck, he did, yeah. But he shows you when I'm doing these things, your mind is automatically putting these pictures.
What was that Hustler movie with Will Smith? Another one, you know, Will Smith hustles people with Margaret Robbie or whatever it was.
Margot Robbie.
Yeah, I remember like he was one of those. He was a con artist and goddamn, I don't remember what it was, but
It's
they're
not.
in the playing NFL. And he keeps betting with his Asian guy.
That's what I'm saying.
No,
That's not it.
That one?
Yeah,
I
he
haven't
gets.
seen that one. I
He
just
talks
know
his
the
way
title.
into the box.
Yeah, and then he's betting him, and he doubles up and doubles up.
Of
He's
the
all
Chinese
like,
guy?
Yeah, pick a number, and he looks on the field, and he's like, how'd you know he's going to pick 55?
There's a fat guy down at the bottom with the number on.
And like, you know, like the stripper they sent, or the hooker they sent to his room had a 55 looking tattoo.
Yeah,
The-
he's planning the
chain-
whole
yeah,
time.
the handkerchief had like 5 5s, and they were playing the Woo Woo song in the background. And Woo was actually means 5 in his normal language,
Yep.
and blah blah blah. So there's all these different things they're talking about doing. And if you think about it, that's all it really takes.
That's what
thing you know.
mentalists do.
Bunch of suggestion.
It
That's-
is.
That's retail, you know.
But you don't know.
You see McDonald's commercials, advertisements everywhere. You see McDonald's M's everywhere you go to. Next thing you know, it's 12:30. You're like, God, I'm hungry. What do I want to eat? You know, fucking
McDonald's.
McDonald's sounds good. No, it
Yeah,
doesn't.
right.
No, it does not. There's
Now-
no part about that.
You have
That
the
sounds
app on
good.
your phone for whatever, like Jimmy John's and all these. Now around noon, what happens? They send you a little email. Hey, guess what?
Yeah, you're getting hungry.
I know you're hungry.
Oh, your app just happened to ironically update right now at 12:35.
Right.
What are the odds?
You mean shenanigans?
Shenanigans. Evil shenanigans.
Shenanigans, right?
Shenanigans.